All right, welcome to part 2 of pitching rules, rule 6. All right, the way I've broken this down is I've kind of highlighted the area we're going to discuss. So this part for the windup, the pitcher is not restricted as to how he shall hold the ball. This is a test question every single year. All right, you can hold it in your hand if you want to. He can hold it in the glove if he wants to. He's not restricted as to how he holds the ball. All right, the next part, a pitcher assumes the wind-up position when his hands are A, together in front of his body, B, both hands are at his side, and C, either hand is in front of the body and the other hand is at his side. I'm going to show you some pictures here of those starting positions. Now would be a good time to discuss a very important term, time of pitch. You're going to have to look outside of Rule 6 to find this rule in 228.3 definitions. Time of pitch. Really important when it comes to the pitching rules to understand this term, time of pitch, because that means the pitcher has committed himself to delivering the pitch to the batter. So this time of pitch has committed the pitcher to throwing a pitch to the hitter. Now, when he does this, he must do that without interruption or alteration. If you want to have a good argument with an umpire, ask them what their interpretation of the term without interruption or alteration in the windup. Basically, the pitchers can speed up or slow down their delivery, but he cannot change the components, thus altering his delivery. Example, with a runner on third base and the pitcher in the windup, the runner on third breaks for home. Can the pitcher speed up his delivery? Yes. Can he just step and throw home? No. Because if he does this, he did not meet the components of the windup. Okay, this is for all you visual learners. Putting together time of pitch and the windup can be a little complicated because the pitchers have a choice of how they're getting set up on the pitcher's plate. So if the pitcher chooses to get onto the pitcher's plate with his hands already together in front of his body, which is legal, he is committed to pitch when he moves his arm and or arms or leg or legs, unless he is stepping back clearly with his pivot foot. So from here, if he moves both arms, right, or he just moves his non-pivot foot, he's committed to pitch. He can't go back from here. He must commit that pitch. By the way, in Federation Baseball, once he's committed to pitch, he has to do so even if there's no one on. So if he starts that motion to pitch with nobody on and then stops and thinks he's going to reset time, that's an illegal pitch. We add a ball to the count. These are Federation rules. Okay, for the second part of this, the pitcher is allowed to get onto the pitcher's plate with both arms at his side. But then the rules also state that once he moves both arms or a leg, he is committed to pitch. Make sense? So let's start over with this one. If someone steps onto the pitcher's plate and we give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here, that we're going to let him establish himself on the pitcher's plate. But then once he moves both arms, he's committed to pitch. With what? Yeah, you guessed it, right? Without interruption or alteration. Sorry for the interruption, but this is a key point. We must look outside of Rule 6 for a casebook play which discusses this point about a pitcher moving both arms after he has chosen to get onto the rubber with both hands at his side. The casebook play that I note here in a couple seconds allows the pitcher to get established, citing that he moves after he gets his sign from the catcher. Here is where we must use discretion. Why must we use discretion? It's a fact. Some pitchers do not shake yes or no to their catcher. Some pitchers don't acknowledge that at all. Catcher puts down a sign, the pitcher just gets to moving. So we must use discretion. So what can we do to judge if he has established himself on the pitcher's plate? We see and use our discretion. Is he just getting his feet onto the pitcher's plate and then he's establishing to get his hands set up? Or does he clearly get his feet on the pitcher's plate, get settled in, and then brings his arm up? That's where we have a problem with it, right there. So we must use discretion. We must pay attention. We don't want to balk somebody because they're just getting established on the pitcher's plate. So discretion, discretion, discretion. So once again, he moves both arms. He made the choice to start here. Then if he moves both arms or a leg, he's committed to do so, to continue to pitch without interruption or alteration. I forgot to mention that when the pitcher engages the pitcher's rubber with both hands at his side, he may lift each arm individually without penalty. Okay, and the last position in the windup a pitcher can choose to use. The pitcher can choose as he gets onto the pitcher's plate to have one arm up and the other arm down at his side. It can be either or. I could switch this. I could be in this position, right? Once then the pitcher brings both hands together in front, has he hit the time of pitch? No. So from this position here, once he moves either an arm or arms or leg or legs, he is now committed to pitch, and this would be the time of pitch. You guessed it, he's got to do it without interruption or alteration. With his feet in the windup position, the pitcher may only do two things. He can deliver a pitch or he can legally step off. By the way, legally stepping off, which means he has to clearly step off with his pivot foot behind the pitcher's plate. Because this rule is in effect for Federation rules, the pitcher, when setting up in the windup position, may not pick off or throw to a base from that position, because remember, he's only allowed to do those two things, throw a pitch or step off. So if from the windup position in Federation baseball, that pitcher wants to pick off somewhere, what does he have to do first? Clearly step off legally. While this seems like a simple statement, it can get a little bit confusing from time to time because pitchers are now trying to take a couple steps, taking steps in different areas. So pay attention. During delivery, he may lift his non-pivot foot in a step forward, a step sideways, or in a step backward and a step forward, but he shall not otherwise lift either foot, meaning there's no jump step forward, no stepping twice in that rocker step to get things going from the windup.